Hi, and welcome to another episode of Couch to Couch, where we catch up with some of our customers and partners. We've been discussing insights and changes they're seeing in their company and industry, specifically at these interesting times we live in. I'm delighted to have with me today Dave Starling. He's a serial customer of Couchbase. His first days at Pixel International, then at CNET, and now he's at Citi. So, Dave, welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I've been a Couchbase user since I've been trying to work it out. I think it's about 7 years now, maybe 8 years. First for some really interesting architectural problems we were trying to solve. I think we were the first ones to look at Couchbase Mobile, as it was then, running on Raspberry Pis in theme parks, and it was it was fascinating to go through it then. And it was a real core part of the work we were doing at CNET, built from the ground up using Couchbase. So, I've been a long time customer, spoken at, I've lost count of how many of the conferences now, Couchbase London Live, Couchbase Connect, and so on. So yeah, it's good to be chatting with you guys again.
Super. Thanks, Dave. So, Dave, you wear two interesting hats in your current role at Citi, working with the ventures team, helping incubate new ideas as part of D10X, if I pronounce that correctly, and then also working with one of the Citi Innovation Labs, developing new ideas, improving client experience. Can you introduce your role a little bit more as what you're doing now with Citi?
Sure. So D10X is Citi Ventures' entrepreneurial incubation program. So as an incumbent bank, Citi is one of the largest banks in the world. It's an incumbent in what it does, and that leads to blind spots. Big enterprises have a ton of blind spots, and the D10X program is there to help identify them and look at resolutions to them. And so what we do is we allow people to come forward with a problem and a solution hypothesis, and say, we think there's an opportunity here to help improve life for our clients, either through increased liquidity, more efficiency, and so on. And on the Citi side, there's also an option of revenue, either indirect or direct revenue. It could be looking at people will pay us for this feature, or this helps reduce our risk profile. So our insurance premiums are lower, and so on. So there's a whole set of things that we do as part of that, using a very lean startup style process to incubate that. So I get involved in that quite early on the technology side, running the global architecture and development. So as part of that, we work on a very agile process, and there's a lot of prototyping, proof of concepts, and testing in front of customers for us to do. The second part is the Innovation Labs, of which we have one in London, where I'm based, but we also have one in New York, Belfast, Tel Aviv, Singapore, and Shanghai. So we're a global team, and that gives us the ability to have centers of excellence around certain types of technology, build skill sets, and bring people into the fintech space who haven't worked in fintech before. I've been with Citi for 3 months now and had never worked in fintech before, never thought I would work in fintech. But the idea, and speaking to the folks at the Innovation Lab there, really sold me on it. This idea of like, no, we're here to disrupt the way banks can work internally, to change those enterprise type processes, while still maintaining the compliance and regulation that we need to do as a bank. And the Innovation Labs help us build up these testing profiles with providers such as Couchbase, also work with smaller startups, external fintechs. Citi Ventures itself will fund some of these, but we'll also help them with office space, providing access to us as from a proof of concept perspective. But then also working with the wider fintech community to help bring ideas and excellence towards that.
So it sounds like a great challenge you've given yourself. And And obviously, Citi being such a large organization, and you must have joined literally right at the start of the whole COVID-19 situation that we find ourselves in. What kind of requests for investment are you receiving? Do you see the opportunity lying? And then, as a result of this crisis, what problems have never sort of existed before that you're trying to tackle at the moment?
Yeah, I think I got about 2 weeks of time in the office before the lockdown occurred, so it's been interesting. And yeah, I think in terms of I think there's natural reprioritization that happens. It's not necessarily a change in the way investment happens, but there is a reprioritization because the clients that we're working with, and this might be through the commercial bank or the institutional side. It could be emerging markets or it could be developed markets. I think there's a change and reprioritization around certain projects and products that we're building in the lab to ensure the sort of financial success and stability of our clients moving forward. There'll be projects that will be sidelined for now because they're just not going to happen. If we were doing any work now with I don't know, like transportation systems, but they're not running at the moment. We couldn't trial anything. But I think anything that's going to help support our clients in a post COVID lockdown situation, I think that's going to be the priority for us. Making sure that our clients are stable, happy, have liquidity. I think is our core priority.
So from the perspective of Innovation Labs, what's your opinion then on how these unique times could transform that experience and expectations? And what does this mean for technology leaders like yourself when you're thinking about strategy?
Well, I think one of the things that we always do certainly as part of D10X, but I think the lab as a whole, is getting in front of our clients, our users, and that's not going to happen right now. It's the same with hiring. I'm hiring a lot right now, and across either in New York or in London, and it's different. You can't shake someone's hand anymore and welcome them into the office. They can't see where they're going to be working, and it's different. I think from a client experience perspective, I think everyone's going to be looking at opportunities now where this type of situation can't happen again, or at least if it does, we're better prepared for it. So I think the experiences that people will have will be much more, let's say, remote friendly. I think one of the web trends a few years ago was mobile first, and it was offline first with Couchbase. So I think remote first ways of working will definitely be a core part of what we're looking to achieve in the future. I think the idea of us being able to talk to our clients face to face is something that we should do if we can, but if we can't, we work around it. And so from a strategic perspective, having those tools in place is really important. So virtual whiteboards, being able to use technologies like Zoom, and those sorts of things, I think, are going to be a core part of what we do. We're kind of relearning a lot of the ways we interact, a lot of the ways that we talk to each other. If we can't have video, and we're only on audio, you miss those non-verbal ways of communicating with each other, which is such a core part of what we do as human beings. And so I think making sure we can maintain that is going to be core, I think.
How have you changed your operating rhythm to ensure that projects are not slowing down and systems are effectively continuing to run as best as they possibly can?
Well, I think to an extent, Citi has an advantage, as do many organisations like Citi that have a global team. A lot of the team I work with is in Shanghai anyway, so we operate on quite different hours. And so I think we have a lot of those systems and rhythms and rituals and ceremonies in place anyway. But I think it takes rigor and it takes proactive communication and initiative from everybody to be able to make sure that we don't slip on anything. And I think to work effectively as a team, we have to over communicate to an extent. Whether that's making sure we have much more regular check-ins, and socializing in the same ways as well. You know, we had a lab's Zoom drinks on Friday. I sat in my garden, and other people were sat in their gardens, and we had a drink together, and yeah, it was good fun. And I think maintaining that is a core part. In a strange way, even though I joined Citi just and had 2 weeks of the in the office, in a strange way, it's actually brought the team closer together, because there's very much a, you know, to reuse the cliche, we are all in it together, and I think everybody's suffering in the same way. And I think the Citi's been really supportive of everybody's mental health in that regard. We got an email I think it was last Wednesday, from our global CEO, Mike Corbat, and saying, right, you've all been working super hard. You know, I think it's really important that our mental health is also maintained. Everybody take Friday off. And I was like, oh, that's quite nice. Yes, long weekend. And, you know, it's things like that, I think, really go a long way to sort of bring everybody together and recognize that the mental health of people is just as important as the success of the project and the client happiness that we strive for.
So that's obviously interesting in such a large organization. You've obviously moved to Citi in February. You've been in a lot of sort of smaller startup organizations. You've now moved into such a huge organization like Citi. How's that transition been for you?
It's been really interesting, and you know, as you say, my last 2 companies, I think I was the first employee at my last one, and I think the third employee at CNET before that. And you know, now I'm sort of employee number 200,000 and something. And it's different, and it's different in a way that I hadn't anticipated. I mean, I think part of that is because of the nature of the work I'm doing and the labs and so on. It's incredibly supportive. A lot of people come from the same sort of background that I do. And yeah, the pace of things is different. You know, it's we have regulators, and we have governance, and we have compliance that we have to sort of bake into everything we do, and those things are there for a reason. You know, it's not something that we complain about. It's something that we think, right, okay, these things are there to make sure that the safety of us as employees, as the bank as a whole, and our clients is there. You know, that's a core part of what we do. And so understanding that and building that into the agile process that we go through, you know, is a different challenge than what I'd sort of anticipated. But it's been something that I've enjoyed doing. But I think also there's an opportunity to really bring a lot of those agile processes and startup type mentalities into Citi, and to say, hey, we can do things quickly and test things and fail fast, and all of those exciting things that every startup wants to do, but within a larger organization. On a sort of less technical side, you know, I think the support we get from across the organization is incredible. The diversity of the team is fantastic. It's something that it's really hard in the startup ecosystem to build a strong, diverse team. And yeah, having that support in place to help build that is really core. And I think the other part is that I get a really strong sense that the senior managers and everyone, you know, sort of below them, actually really care about their employees and what they're doing, and making sure that they're healthy and safe. And you know, the core parts of all of that, I think, are a strong foundation that we can build from.
Obviously, one of the things that you brought with you along the time that you've been obviously working with us is Couchbase. So you've used Couchbase NoSQL extensively in your career. You've delivered a bunch of high performance and complex applications. And obviously Citi has been also using Couchbase. We've got around about 20 applications and more opportunity, I believe, to sort of extend the usage of that. But why do you think NoSQL is providing or proving to be such a game changer for innovation? And what's your thinking on how you can utilize the technology in your labs?
Yeah, so I think this was always the case in the early days, and I think for me it's all around being able to adapt and being agile and embracing change and not having to worry too much about things like schema changes. A lot of that really is around the agility that you get with the uncertainty of what you're building in a startup. And I think the same applies with the work that we're doing in the labs and with D10X, which is that we don't want to necessarily be building something that is going to go to production. We want to build something that can help us prove value and help us understand the problem better, so that when we do come to build it for production, we're ready and we're going in the right direction, and it will allow us to embrace a lot of the change that we want to bring to our clients and the opportunities that are there. So for me, NoSQL Couchbase is all about being able to embrace change and test things out, learn without the pain of going through schema changes, changing, how is this going to be a number that can be positive or negative? Well, actually it doesn't matter, because we can just bake that in from the get-go. It makes no difference. So it's a very agile friendly way of working.
It's great to hear that. Obviously, coming from Couchbase, we like to hear that sort of endorsement. You must have gone through some of these fun times at a personal level. How's COVID-19 impacted your work, family, and your sort of social life balance? And what's your favourite new non-work experience that you've taken on board?
Well, my girlfriend and I we've been quite lucky, actually. We bought a new house in January before the lockdown started, before it went all crazy, and we were going to spend the next year or so doing a lot of work to the house and getting things done. But being at home and being able to have people coming and doing work, a lot of the contractors that we're working with doing the flooring, the bathrooms, the kitchen, and so on, are still coming and working in a nice socially distanced type manner, but they're getting it done, and so we're able to be here and to facilitate that. And my stepson's homeschooling. He's trying to spend most of his time getting himself to play Minecraft or Roblox, but occasionally we get him to do some reading and writing. And we get to go out and have lunch together in the garden, and all of those nice things. So it's been great, and it's also actually given me an opportunity to spend more time online with my friends. In London, it's hard to meet up with people anyway, and a lot of my friends are around the country or around the globe, and so it gives us more of an excuse to sort of call each other, chat online, play games together, and do some of those fun things.
Excellent. So going from, in essence, the software development world to the home development world is one of the big things that you've been doing. Well, super. Well, I think we sort of come to the end of our chat. It's been an absolute pleasure to catch up with you. So again, thank you very much for your time today, Dave. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope everybody that watches this gets some good insights. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.